Hello everyone, welcome back all. Today I'll be taking you all through the ways of working in SAP. Right? So generally operations in SAP are divided into two stages. One is project and other one is support. Under project, we can notice new implementation, rollouts and upgrades, and under support, we can notice operations, DevOps and incident management. So what's the difference between operations and DevOps? DevOps is a newer concept where project team itself would support the product, what it has delivered. It simply means the project team would have delivered certain new product or an application. Going forward, the same team would go ahead and support its product, and the support team, a specific or a specialized support team, would not be required at that point of time. Right now, what are the tools we use to manage the project? Generally, most of the companies use JIRA to capture its project related activities via Kanban or Scrum board. And for support, generally most of the companies uses Snow, Remedy, BMC and homegrown application or inbuilt application. Right now, let's check the SAP implementation and the support stages. Under implementation, any of the new projects, depending on the type of project, all the respective consultants across the module will be onboarded to achieve a common goal, and these steps will be religiously followed. Whatever steps we are seeing here, these steps will be religiously followed. So project preparation is the first stage. In the project preparation, project objectives, implementation strategies, implementation sequence, core team will be discussed, and documentation sign off will be taken place in this stage. And coming to the next stage, that is business blueprint stage. In business blueprint stage, as is documentation workshop will be conducted, to be design walkthrough will be discussed, gap analysis will be done between as is and to be design, and finally it is captured in the KDD, which is called as key design discussion document, and finally business sign off will be obtained in order to go ahead with the realization stage. Right now, then comes the realization stage or a phase where actual configuration and development will be done based on the business blueprint documentation and the gap analysis. Then we have a final preparation stage, and under this stage, it will be used for unit testing, integration testing, user training and testing, and the other cutover activities. I hope we discussed about the relevance and importance of testing in the previous session, that is landscape management. However, let's see once again in detail in the upcoming slide. Right, and then finally we have a production go live and the hypercare. Right, it's nothing but the production deployment, monitoring system transactions, optimizing the overall system performance, etc. Right now, this was all about the project implementation stage. Let's check the support stages. Generally, team formation for support will be termed as L1, L2, L3 and L4. As stated above in the previous slide, we discussed about the incidents, service requests, right? Those will be created in any of the applications like Snow, Remedy or inbuilt applications, etc. Like L1 would receive and acknowledge the call logged by the customer via help desk, and L2 will identify the right group to enact upon it. Say incident or service task or request would belong to any of the team, right? Finance, sales, purchase, etc. So they would identify a right group and enact upon it, L2 team. L3 will start analyzing based on the SLA. Root cause analysis will be done, and it will be provided by the team within the given SLA time. And L4 will generally look into the problem tickets which are of high complex in nature and where there is no stringent or a strict SLA. Right now, based on the analysis done by the L3 team, if any configuration or the development has to be done, support team will carry out the configuration or the development, and it will send to production based on the thorough testing. Now, just to understand about the project implementation and the support stages, let's take a real-time example just to understand this much better. Right now, let's assume you want to build a website to sell fresh fruit to the customers. Now you want to implement the UI, UX, price, article, login, logout page, check-in, checkout page, payment gateway interface, refunds. You might also want to have a procurement, sales, invoicing, payment, receipts, etc. Right, so apparently entire application or product cannot be delivered at once. Right, so what we do here is we break the requirement into smaller pieces, and then we deliver the output which we call it as an MVP. MVP means minimum viable product, which consumer or a customer or a client is ready to use without any hassles. So once this MVP is in the market, we proceed to improvise the same by adding advanced features and eventually rolling it out to the market, which we call it as MVP 2 or 3 depending on the product requirement. Now once the product is in the market, we would need support maintenance to ensure our product is running up and fine, right? So then that's where the support team will come into picture, and the project team will be during the implementation stage of this project or the product. Right now, let's discuss about the documentation and its importance under project implementation and support stage. Under project, we have high level design discussion document, which includes the project objectives, that is goal setting. It includes implementation strategy, that is scope of implementation. It includes implementation sequence, that is order of implementation. It includes the core team which comes together to achieve a common objective, and the documentation with all the details which we have spoken earlier, right? This will be captured and signed off by the respective business owner and the product owner. Now coming to the business blueprint stage, we capture as is business process to be design discussion will be conducted and captured. Gap analysis will be done and captured in the KDD document, which we spoke in the previous slide, key design discussion document. And finally, detailed documentation will be done to commence our next activity, that is the realization stage. Now coming to the configuration document, this is the standard configuration document which we try to capture during the standard configuration. And just in case if the standard configuration is not achievable, we need any custom program or development to achieve certain output or outcome, we capture it via functional spec and the technical specification. We also perform the technical and functional unit testing along with the system integration testing. I think we spoke about this in detail in the previous session, that is landscape management. I request you all to go and check that session. Please do let us know in the comment section if you need any more clarification on the functional unit testing and the system integration testing. Now coming to the regression testing is nothing but it is a thorough checking of the existing or the already available process or the code or the program to ensure that our code or our piece of logic should not go and disturb the existing process or existing logic, right? So that is where the regression testing has to be performed. And then coming back to the smoke testing is nothing but one round of stability testing which covers the breadth of the processes and not the depth of the processes, right? So before we push to the production, we perform all these tests and ensure that the whatever code logic or relevant expectation is met, and then the user acceptance training will be done and the sign off will be taken. Finally, production deployment will be done along with the cutover activities. Same thing would remain for the support activities as well, except HLD, high level design discussion document, and the BBP. Rest all document has to be mandatorily managed in order to push our code or a program or a logic to the production system. Now coming back to the next slide, let's speak about the incident management. As discussed in the previous slide, generally we manage incidents via a snow, and we manage demand intakes via JIRA. Under JIRA, we have epic, story, tasks, and subtasks. And under Snow, we have incident, service request, service tasks, and REQs. I can take a detailed session on JIRA and Snow based on your interest and request. Kindly leave your comments in the comment section below so that I can go ahead and make another video on the JIRA and the Snow based on your request and interest. Right now, coming back to the change management and the transport management, Solman is a system which integrates with the other landscapes like dev, quality, and production system. It is one of the SAP tool which uses to manage the transports. Project is the higher node or the top node created in the Solman, and under projects RFCs will be created, request for change, and under RFC CD, that is change document, will be created. Just in case if Solman is not integrated, we can move the TRs manually between my landscapes, right? That is dev, quality, and the production system. Now, coming back to the transports, there are two types of transports: workbench transport and the customizing transport. This transport is nothing but, or the transport request is nothing but the carrier of the code or logic or the data which transfers from one landscape to the other landscape. This transports would contain all the code logic or the data which moves the data from the development system to quality system, and from quality system to the production system subsequently. So workbench transport would generally be created by the developer and the technical consultant. Generally, master data related changes will be moved via workbench transport, and customizing transport, generally it will be created by the functional consultants, and all the standard configurations related activities will be moved via customizing transport from development to quality and quality to the production system. So coming back to the next slide, notes for your information please. As we have already discussed in the previous session about the landscape management, we discussed about ways of working in the current session. We discussed about the incident management. We discussed about change management, transport management, right? So please note, these are industry standard usage. All these might subject to be different depending on the type of business and operation and the requirement, which simply means, say for an example, we discussed about the landscape management in our previous session, right? We spoke about the development system having two clients, which is your golden client, unit testing client, and it might also contain a sandbox. And in quality, we saw about the pre-prod client, right? Not all the companies would follow the similar architecture due to the business need, requirement, along with the budget. Hence, they may opt out to have only development, quality, and production systems. So, however, the combination may change from one company to other company, from one requirement, business requirement to other business requirement. So apparently this combination may change, but comprehensively I have tried to cover all the possible system landscapes for your understanding. Similarly, in the incident management, change management, and transport management, companies can use their own inbuilt application or can have minimum checkpoints, but I've tried to cover comprehensively so that you get a fair exposure towards the market understanding, right? So in the upcoming session, we'll discuss more about the adoption part, which includes macro view and the micro view. So that's it for today. Thank you all for joining today's session. I hope you enjoyed today's session. Looking forward for more participation, feedback, and comment. Stay tuned with us. Please don't forget to share, subscribe, and like. Thank you. Thank you all.